mini ductor.
Huh.
There's only like one person that
Wow, that
makes
had a
that
real
shit.
delay.
I think it's the same one my guys got too.
Alright, we're live. Well, not really live, but we're on camera.
Ladies and gents, undisputed, all-time heavyweight gambler meeting number 5. Gamble this meeting number 5.
Technically 6 if you
6.
count the lost episode.
Re-record? 5B.
I'd be.
5 side B. Alright. Well, guest for this week.
Hi, I'm Shawn. Got the Volvo 240 wagon.
If you went to Frozen, if you went to Frozen Nuts, you saw him slide down the hill.
Yeah,
epically.
slid down the hill, bashed my right.
That was cool.
It's my turn.
Yes.
Tyler Reines, Dixie Cup
Dixie Cup 1.0.
1.0, yeah.
1.0. Scott Benzie, I drive the O2 Liberty, known as Rubber Chicken. It squeaks, it bounces. It makes everybody laugh. No one takes it seriously. The Rubber Chicken.
I was like, I don't think anybody takes the Liberty seriously.
No,
I don't
nobody
think
takes the
anybody
Liberty
takes
seriously.
anything at the gambler seriously.
Well, even outside of the gambler, like it's the Liberty.
That's why I chose the Liberty for a gambler vehicle, because it's a vehicle that's not supposed to be off-roaded. Now it does have 4-wheel drive, but it is a Jeep Liberty. I mean, as Marshall kindly put it, the worst Jeep ever made.
It's inner city 4-wheel drive.
It's trail rated.
They stick that on anything. They put that on the new.
It means it's got 7 inches of ground clearance. That's what that means. Just so everybody
That's
knows.
all that means.
That's all that means. And there's no rhyme or reason. Some Renegades are trail rated, some aren't. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
That's actually kind of impressive.
It's same with the skid plates on Liberties. As they're made, like you'll have like some Renegade version Liberties that like don't have a skid plate. Off-road version Liberties that don't have a skid plate, and then there's some base models that have skid plates. And there's also like the front skid plate, your typical under motor to your oil pan, and then some of them have a an additional diff skid plate, which mine doesn't have. I put road signs under, so there's no need to worry. Good old Gambler skid plate 101, road signs, cut them up, chop them up.
Just don't get caught.
Well, I don't steal them.
That's like over in town. There's right at the town garage. They have a pile of old street signs.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to stop one day and be like, if I give you guys like $20, can I grab a couple of those?
Ask, tell them what you're using them for. They might just say, okay.
Knowing my luck, I'd get pulled over with those on the vehicle. The cop wouldn't believe me that I bought them.
Keep your receipt.
Yeah, they aren't going to want a receipt for that because they don't want people knowing they can go there and get them.
Right. Good point.
Oh, hand me the list over there.
Itinerary.
Alright. How did you discover the gambler?
Well, it was still in its early phases, and only like a couple hundred people in the group. My wife tagged me in it and was like, I mean, I was getting years of people tagging me in anything Volvo related. So this one, she was like, hey, check this out. There's a picture of a Volvo on the page. And I was like, all right. So I checked it out, and it turned out to be like right down the street, like half hour from my house. And up at Kevin's the first run.
You must have jumped for joy when you figured out it was so close to you.
Oh, man, yeah.
Man.
I felt like I had such an advantage driving my daily driver.
On roads you already know.
Roads I kind of already knew, and yeah. The farthest part out, I've never been to like Dansville, I think is where we went the first year. I've never been there before. It was so close. But still, it was pretty fun. I got tagged in it, and it was my birthday weekend-ish in April, and so we just jumped on, spent the weekend up there, and had a blast.
What about you, Tyler?
My buddy tagged me in it. He was like, we should do this someday. And it was in March. And I looked at the date it was going to be, and I was like, dude, why don't we just do it this year? And we just got the shitty car from the little old lady across the street, and told her what we were going to do with it. She was fine with it. She loved it, and yeah.
I was surfing YouTube and bouncing around, and I came across Dirt Every Day with Fred Williams and Dave Chappelle. I don't know, you guys seen that show, Dirt Every Day?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And the first 2 episodes I watched was Cheap Truck Challenge 1 and 2, and then YouTube listed suggestions afterwards and had Dirt Every Day Gambler 500. So that's like my first moment. Because like I was watching the Cheap Truck Challenge, I'm like, yeah, we should do that. Like $2-3 grand. That's kind of you gotta save up a little, but it's no big deal. We can just go out and have fun, beat on stuff. And then the Gambler 500 came up. I'm like, that's much more affordable, much more my speed. So that's what we did. I straight up got on Facebook, like got like 4 or 5 of my buddies on one group message. I'm like, yo, check out this link. I gave everybody like an hour. Yo, we're gonna do this. So like the first spring 2018, I've only had the gambler bug for a year. I'm fucking fully addicted. It's like crackish. I'm fit market pace every day, fucking looking at cheap vehicles. And does it run? Yeah, get the fuck out of here. And it was great. From there on out, I joined the Facebook page, started talking to Tyler, tried to help him scout some trails in the spring. Had some mechanical issues, never made it up to scout anything, but it was just... Actually, we were the first... My first gambler was Spring Gambler 2018. We were the first ones at the campsite, first time the campsite's ever been used. And we show up there, and it's a hayfield. I mean, there's 3 feet of grass everywhere. And like, oh yeah, you guys are camping in here. We're going to mow it here in a minute. If you guys could help out a little bit, so me and my group we got my boy Johnny Mack, who took the compressor down, pumped up air in the tractor, got the tractor and the brush hog up. He was brush hogging for like 3-4 hours, like right out the gate, just making passes. We set up camp, got everybody else kind of situated, helped Tyler out, because Tyler didn't know that was his first gambler too, so everybody was just like, everybody jumped in head first and we figured it out afterwards.
Usually how it goes, just kind of, hey, this looks fun, let's try it.
Yeah.
Just caution to the wind, and it usually works out.
So that like people are coming in, and we had like we got these team shirts made up, and they're like a bright neon yellow, and everyone's like, "You guys in charge here?" I'm like, "I'm officially unofficial." Well, I'm slamming beer and telling people what to do. Yeah, go get your firewood over there, and there's burn barrels, and just do what you want to do. So it was a good time.
For that whole event just being like caution to the wind and AIS loaning us that piece of land to use for that weekend, that went over like it had been going on for years.
It was super smooth. If you can get used to the fact that you're going to get no information, just pay your $40 and trust that there's going to be actually something at the address they give you. I'll tell you what, a lot of people worked really hard though. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Had to be.
And then the second time out at AIS was awesome. The night riding on Friday night, oh my god, I had so much fun.
Around the track, yeah, that was a blast.
Well, when we went down on the trails in the fall run, they opened up the ATV and Jeep trails for us, and like Jay and I were in Liberty, and we wound up getting like separated from everybody. All of a sudden, we're on this like one trail that's nothing but like laid down logs covered in mud, and I'm just boom, like 2 tires down in a ditch. I'm like, oh fuck. Slammed in reverse, fucking just finally got the back end out, able to get the front end out. Get like 10 feet away and the Liberty overheated. Surprise, surprise. Fucking thing's a tea kettle. Let it sit too long and it overheats.
I feel like I've seen that with the hood up more in pictures and videos than I have it actually running.
That's when it sits still, it gets overheated. When you're running down the trails at 3 miles an hour, it's fine. As soon as you put it in park and let her sit there.
I think you need to add some leaf blowers right through the hood. Just start them up every time.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is my electric fan isn't kicking on when it goes in the park.
Just leave it neutral.
Yeah, I
block wheels.
Reroute the washer fluid nozzle to the radiator. Just kind of give that a tap every now and then.
That's what Nick did with the 940.
Yeah.
It surprisingly works.
Yeah, I've seen people plumb an extra valve out and, spray their radiator intercooler and stuff.
I definitely think you had one of the most recognized cars at the whole event.
He has the best theme car in New York.
It's gonna be hard to top it.
We're definitely not going to this year. We're not doing that theme again, but that was just thought up by my buddy. He was like,
it was beautiful. You guys had the outfits. You had the Dixie Cup dispenser snorkel. That was like the thing for me.
Awesome.
Well, like soon as I saw that, I'm like, I started pouring my beer in the Dixie Cup. I don't put my beer in a glass for nothing.
Yeah, that was just like on a whim. I wonder if we could make it type thing, and
that was awesome.
Came out pretty good.
And that was your first gambler?
Yeah.
You guys fucking. I didn't know what to expect. I actually the first gambler I wasn't able to bring the Liberty because 3 days before the event I lost the one and only key for the Liberty.
Ooh.
And I did a VIN number check with the dealer. They told me it was a chip key. Turns out later on we busted the steering column off and it wasn't a chip key after all. Or the keys, I meant one of the two. But now I started with a chisel.
I was going to say, what do you got now, a screwdriver?
Yeah, straight chisel. If I ever get pulled over, thank God the paperwork's in my name. That's all I have to say.
think how you're starting is going to be the least of the issues. They're going to know you didn't steal that.
I don't think any gambler has to worry about their car being stolen.
Well, that's just like, I don't lock the doors. I don't. the chisel sits right in the center console.
Any hints as to what your theme is going to be, though?
I'll just say what it is. It's, as of right now, because we're kind of undecided on the team, we're going to do gambler maps. So, I don't know if you've ever seen a Google Maps vehicle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to make it look just like that, and I want it to be like 90% looking like the Google Maps, to the point where we're at a gas station, and we're going to definitely do Google shirts.
to the fact where it says gambler in Google colors.
Yes.
Like the Google logo,
Yeah,
but it says gambler.
Did you get to see the picture on Facebook?
No, I haven't seen it yet. No.
I'll pull it up in a minute, and I'll show you. But it's, I want it to be where we pull into someplace, and they're like, oh, you work for Google? And we're like...
Sure.
No.
Read that one more time.
Why don't you, look a little bit closer.
Until, are you going to do like the full height camera on top and
Like a
everything?
3-foot stand tripod.
Yes.
Until you rip that off on a tree.
Well, you make it on
Yeah.
springs, huh? Make it on springs.
So,
Give it a little play.
that's the idea right now. It's not going to top the Dixie Cup, but I'm still
Mine's
undecided.
creative.
And we're trying to get, I think another team might be doing like a Bing or Yahoo Maps, and it
Okay.
will definitely not be as legit as...
Right, because everyone knows Google Maps, right? My other favorite theme was actually Zach did it with the Blues Brothers there in his Crown Vic. I think that was the fall.
That fucking
Was it
Crown
spring?
Vic.
That was fun. I like that. Too bad he didn't have a co-rider to fucking play the other brother, but that was a good theme. We don't do a lot of themes in New York Gamblers, do we?
Not really.
Yeah, we need to step that up.
Definitely.
Like I have like a state trooper kind of theme. I have like a state trooper rally theme going on.
I was thinking
Yeah.
Vermont State
Oh, yeah.
Troopers, Super Trooper style.
Super
So
Troopers.
usually it would say Street View.
Right.
And just instead of
Nice.
having like a beer in the center console, have maple syrup. Full Super Troopers. That would
Leader
be
of cola.
awesome.
That'd be
Yes.
pretty cool. That would be pretty sweet.
So we should do like Scooby Doo, especially if they have a dog.
Sounds
Get
good.
like a creepy
I mean-
van.
Kevin's already got the mystery van,
And the dog.
mystery
He
machine.
does have the dogs too.
I was thinking about making my Volvo like a Harlequin, like a Volkswagen Harlequin with
That'd
like
be cool.
multicolored panels.
Yeah.
I always thought
Volvo
that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, the Volvo Quinn. I think that'd be pretty sweet, but I don't know. I just don't want to. I can't pull the trigger. I don't know.
Actually, what I need help with, and any gambler want to suggest, I got the short bus that we affectionately call Plan B. After the day after pill, of course, but we need a theme. Like I want to do like a gambler casino kind of thing. I don't know. Anybody else can come up with a better idea, but I'm gonna spray paint the crap out
Just
of it.
doing hot laps, shooting craps.
Hot lap shooting craps. I like it. Stuff like that. I mean things
Until
like
you
that.
go to throw the
people.
dice, you hit a bump and they go out the window. Someone on the track has to pick them up.
But I need a paint scheme for Plan B.
Get pictures from like Del Lago and make the inside of it look like a nice casino. Make the outside of it look all haggard.
We were talking about putting a platform and a DJ booth up top. Because, work the quiet tight.
Make a Porsche up there or something.
Oh, yeah. Party deck.
The last thing you guys need is a party deck.
Handrails optional.
No, they gotta be mandatory.
Park is optional.
What if you made it actually Plan B themed and
Like a
A
box.
portion on the side.
like Plan B across the side, like on campus bus or something like that.
That would be terrible.
Put it like a medical bus, but have it like
Walk-ins,
sponsor
walk-ins.
Plan B.
Yeah.
It's as bad as Fall 17 with the free candy van. You're gonna get some nasty looks with anything Plan B related.
You guys want?
Especially up in that area.
Yeah.
You guys want to hear something funny? My first work van I bought a used 2006 Ford Econoline, and it was straight creeper van, panel van.
No.
Work van. I got construction business, and I bought it, and we started cleaning it out, and the guy had plywood on the floor, and I ripped plywood out to clean out like the carpet underneath, and like rip all that crap out and make sure there's no holes in the floor. And underneath there was like labels of like candy boxes, like stuffed in like every little crap.
It was either a fat guy or you bought a van that probably was involved in some illegal
Well,
activities.
luckily for me, when I went to go register, the previous owner, I noticed the previous owner was a vending machine company. So,
Ah,
so I'm
good.
assuming it was
There
a
you go.
stock vehicle, but
I wouldn't trust it.
But it was too funny because it was like a state police blue panel van with like tin windows and a big push bar in the front with fog lights. So it straight looked like an undercover fucking vehicle everywhere I went.
I wouldn't mind getting a retired cop car to gamble.
Oh no,
Because I would get like the big white
especially with
bar
like
and just fuck with everybody.
with like the HO set up on those things. Hell yeah, man. Even like the old they had like a Ford Taurus HO at one point in time, freaking
The
5.0.
Yamaha motor.
Was it a Yamaha? I thought
Yeah.
they put the 5.0 in it with the high output.
Yeah. I don't know much about it, but it's just Yamaha made. Or,
Yeah, that was the show,
The
though,
top
the
hat?
Taurus,
Oh.
I think, right?
yeah.
So Yamaha makes a pretty good V8. We have a customer that comes with a Volvo, I want to say S80,
Okay, yeah.
4.5
Yeah.
liter Yamaha V8.
Yep.
Holy shit!
What,
That
what,
car caught me off guard.
what
Yeah.
else is running Yamaha motor?
I don't know.
I've never heard of a large Yamaha motor, not in like industrial diesel or something
What
like
about
that.
boats?
Oh,
They got
boats,
some pretty
yeah.
We
good
do
ones.
have boats, right? Yep. We actually have an old Mercury motor and sitting in a boat that Jay Aubrey picked up for $100, and we don't know what to do with it yet.
That
we
would
got
be good for the boat gambler.
a boat gambler. Are we doing a boat gambler?
Did you not see that episode
No.
with Kevin?
Was that the end?
I don't know. We
I
talked.
watched most of it. I watched actually most of it like 2 days ago.
We talked about doing a boat gambler.
Oh Jesus! Like life jackets required for sure.
Brought it up with Tyler, and he said there's a river that one of the trails follows up in the Adirondacks that would be perfect for it. So I was like,
And a river, I think it's like pond or lake it, to be honest.
Well, at least the river would bring
like,
it if you
wash
started.
a floating boat downstream or some boat downstream.
But if you did it from top to bottom, at least everybody would finish.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whereas with
Whether you have a
some
motor or
point,
not.
yeah.
whereas
right,
if you
yeah.
go on like Seneca Lake, it's 38 miles. There's a good chance
Yeah.
half of us won't be found.
Bring paddles because your motor might not work.
Well, if we do any kind of a boat gambler, to keep, as far as like for legal reasons, we shouldn't run motors because then you have to register it as a boat. Whereas
Okay, I
if it's
gotcha.
just out in the water, it's a floating device.
Ooh, so like homemade floating devices is what we're talking. Okay, I'm down with that.
'Cause
Can I
I-
put a trolling motor on?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
hidden
put a trolling motor
I
on.
think Tyler. Someone said the trolling motor's in the gray. Like it's a motor, but it's not strong enough to be. considered
When you
a
have an
motor.
electric 5 horse or less trolling motor, it's not considered like you don't have to register as a motorized boat.
There you go. 5-horse electric trolling motor.
Is that true, or did you just make that
No,
up?
it's
It looked like you made it
no,
up, but I was believing it. So
one
either
of
way.
our first teammates, Dan McConnell, just he had a little John boat, and when he first registered, he had a 12 horsepower Evinrude, but when he first registered, he registered it as non-motorized, and turned out you don't have to. You still can, like a canoe, you can still register a canoe. New York State will take your money,
Surprise.
but you don't have to. So I've always been a kayaking kind of guy myself, especially for fishing.
I've always been just inner tubes down the river.
No, that's good too.
That's what we should do. Just inner tubes down the river.
That's
where
not
everybody
bad.
gets
Just like a
like an
gambler
airsoft
float.
gun. And you get to shoot at each other's inner tubes.
Oh, yeah.
There's the
there you go.
gamble.
The last one standing.
Yep.
But if we did any kind of boat race, I would talk to my soon-to-be father-in-law because they do a wild water derby in Shortsville,
Uh-huh.
and he has a old Volkswagen dune buggy on a metal chassis with blue 55-gallon drums under it.
So it's a pontoon float, essentially.
Pretty much. That would
A
be perfect.
Volkswagen float.
Just have a few coolers floating behind it. That'd be perfect.
Just cut a hole in the center and have, like on a string, a cooler.
Yeah.
Bring your 6-pack up on a string.
Yeah, until you get to a spot where you don't realize it's shallow and you clean it off and somebody else, I found beer. And then the airsoft gun comes back into play. 'Cause you gotta start shooting at them for your property.
Don't be a dick.
I wonder if we could add that. Oh, actually, I'm pretty sure it's illegal to drive around with an airsoft gun. I'm thinking like hot laps with balloons on the top of the car.
You could do it at the track, probably.
Yeah, right
You
there.
could probably do it at the track. That's like Mario Kart style.
You get like a driver and a shooter, and whoever has the most balloons left at the end.
Yeah, just gotta wear a face mask or a
That
full
would-
face helmet or
That would
something.
go
Make sure.
fantastically.
There would just be people pegging each other on the back of the head, doing anything.
That's what I was gonna say. A full face helmet, and then everybody's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
besides that, you can get hit anywhere. That hurts, but
Just wear Hans device, you'll be fine. Especially if you're going to be legal
because all the
to go
gamblers
shoot.
have a Hans device, don't they?
Well, some of them are dirt track racers. I'm sure they got one or two floating
I
around.
bet there's a
You're gonna get
few.
a whole bunch of like Amazon neck braces. Counts.
Like medical grade.
Yeah.
I can't turn.
ABG sticker on the side of it.
Pretty much.
Ground doesn't need it for a day or two.
whole bunch of pools will go without.
Well, since we're talking about possible gamblers, I am no date set. Somewhere near the 4th of July, I will be hosting a Gambler 100 with mini bikes, go karts, shopping carts, anything under 200cc you can throw together.
No shit. That rules out the golf cart I'm planning
Well,
on building because
if
1100 and a golf cart.
We'll go with a guideline. I mean, if it's going to be fun and you're not really racing to win, because it's going to be. My plan is to do like a 1 mile. I have 30 acres in Virgil. Do not bring campers and RVs. Bring hammocks. This is a hillside. Parking the cars is going to be an object here. The less trailers, the better too. But we can line the side of the. It's on a seasonal road. We can line the side of the road, I guess. But
I'll flat tow it down there.
we do have a flat spot where the main campground will be, like the main party spot, hangout spot will be. I have a cabin on property. No one wants to go inside this cabin. I can't believe it hasn't fallen down yet. We haven't been in like 6 years.
That's the gamble.
There's some gambles you take, and it's like Russian roulette going into that place. That's the gamble I won't take.
Now that you've mentioned this, you realize everybody's going to get drunk and go over there and try to push down your cabin, right?
Well, I mean,
Save some
Like
contractor
30
bill.
of us just like pushing.
we're trying to get the fire department up there to burn it, but there's not enough available water from the Risket, so. But, yeah, so 200cc or less. Try not to do dirt bikes, guys. I mean, it's going to be like a supercross mini bike track. It's going to be up the hills, down the hills. If you have zero ground clearance, you're probably not going to do so great. Probably going to want at least 4 to 6 if you can pull it off. Or momentum. Skinny pedal gets you a lot of places. But yeah, sometime around July, I'll have more details come to Spring Gambler. I know the land very well. I haven't gone up and scouted a track out yet. We do have a few trails, but it'll never equal a mile, so we'll have to work something out. I'll probably ask for people to come volunteer to do some brush clearing and things like that, just to get us set up. But, you know, more details come Spring Gambler. Don't worry about it yet. Work on your cars for spring. Anybody ready for spring, huh?
My car's still frozen. I got lift the front end of my car, and oh my god, so much stuff to do.
Well, you ready for spring?
I'm gonna build a snorkel and possibly relocate the spare into a stack
Okay.
because I don't need to stall out in the water and flood it from the underside.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
You want to suck it back in?
No.
No. What about you? How far out are you?
We're doing some work on it tomorrow. Got a hole in the frame, so we're going to be flux coring that bad boy together.
So you can get expanding forward runnings for like $6 a can.
What vehicle are you running?
06 Trailblazer.
Okay, nice.
Well, that frame had holes from the factory.
Sure did.
4.2.
Yep.
Make sure you put a new tensioner on it. That's the first thing to go on those motors. Every time one comes into the shop, I just needs a tensioner.
Yeah.
No
Because
kidding, huh?
usually I call it before
It's
I
like
even get
seize
the
right
car.
up. Is that what it does, or?
They just get really weak and start squeaking. And
Okay.
They just wear out, like on it.
So the Liberty front suspension is non-existent. The bump stops are sitting on the A-arms. I might have jumped it a couple times. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. So I had to bite the bullet, and I bought the cheapest coilovers I could find for it. Because the thing with the Jeep Liberties is the front springs always are weak, and they fucking sag like 2 years into a brand new vehicle. So it's not like I can pull out a good spring out of the junkyard. They just don't exist. So I bit the bullet for like $70. Got 2 pairs of coilovers, and I have the rest of the lift kit still put in. So I'm going to stuff a 3-inch spacer. So it's still running just like it's got no suspension. Just when I hit a hard enough bump, it will actually move now. Besides that, sold a 94 Toyota pickup the other day, and it was behind a bunch of stuff. And I was going to use the Liberty to pull it out through a snowbank, and it started up just fine, great. It's covered in mud and snow. Let it de-thaw. 15 minutes later, I get it, and I push the brake pedal straight to the floor.
oh,
Pump up the brake pedal straight to the floor. Okay, well, at least it happened when it was parked. Don't know how that works, but you know, no
Yeah, it
brakes.
just
So I'll
happens.
have to sort that out. You know, I never, like, it sat for a year before I bought it. The guy was sending it to the crusher. I gave him scrap price for it and never really did anything to make it function any better. Like, it's like everything I did made it worse. I put a spacer lift, a Daystar nylon spacer lift in the rear. Jacked the rear end right up. Didn't do anything to the front because we couldn't get a spring compressor to fit into like a gap that big. So I didn't do anything to the front, just left it, or we took the tires off, saws all what we could out, and then took a sledgehammer. I got videos of me literally standing there full swing with the sledgehammer, just beating the freaking tub in, just whack, all the pinch welds, just drilling them in hard as I could. And it rubs at about 3/4 turn, and wants to take the windshield. Well, broke the windshield wiper reservoir off, and we went to a poker run just after Frozen Nuts.
The backcountry 4-wheel.
Backcountry 4-wheel one. It was a good time. They're doing another one here in the spring. They invite all the gamblers to come. They really liked the idea. They said we could bring our cars and send them. So if you guys want to do just a pre-gambler warm-up, I think it's pre-gambler. Check your vehicle out.
I don't think half the cars will survive the pre, let alone the actual.
Yeah.
But they have a fantastic park up there, guys. And there's a lot of stuff you can do in your car. You just really got to commit, but that's what we do.
So, yeah.
Party pedal, baby. Party pedal.
I've been following them for a while. I've been meaning to go to their events, but it's like an hour and a half drive.
I saw a couple old gamblers there. There was an old Jeep gambler. I forget who we said owned it, and then the Blue Bronco was there.
The little Bronco too?
No, the big Blue Bronco.
Oh, okay.
That was there. So hung out with those guys a little bit. Met some new friends.
Did you crunch the diff up there?
No, I actually we went to go scouting for Frozen Nuts. Jay Aubrey and I were headed out, and we're checking some checkpoints off near Virgil for Kevin. And on our way, we're 15 minutes from the first checkpoint, the farthest checkpoint away, because I was gonna look back. And we're about 15 minutes away from it. We're coming down these dirt roads, and there's this guy stopped at a T intersection with a minivan with his hood up. So we stopped and we talked to him. He was like, I don't know. He said he died on the way down the hill. Zero cell phone service in this gully here, and so I jump in the Jeep. There's a farmhouse up. I go up there. I get a pair of leads. Come back. We try jumping this thing. The guy with the Dodge Magnum pulls up. Did you guys know the battery's in the back of a Dodge Magnum?
Yeah. Isn't that
It's
weird?
Yeah. Why run it so far?
Same with the
Dodge.
Chrysler 300s.
Is there just not enough engine space, or?
There is. I mean, they're all big ass vehicles.
There's just a lot of plastic in the way.
No, all right. So he backs in, and when he starts backing in, I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then he pulled, popped the cover and all that. And I saw what he was doing. So couldn't get him jumped. Tried to see if it was it sounded like his starter or starter relay. So we tried to push it forward a little bit, drop it and park. Try to get everything to chug just a little bit. Couldn't get him. Well, his buddy turned out to live up the hill, so I gave him a ride up to his buddy's house. His buddy's mechanic. So we pull in his house. He's got a little bit of slope down driveway, flattens off, and goes into his garage. Drop him off and put it in reverse. Zzz, and Jay's like, "Stop being a dick. Put it in 4-wheel drive." So I reached down, grabbed 4-wheel drive, put it in reverse again. Fucking zzz. He's like, "I told you to put it in 4." I'm like, "It is in 4-wheel drive." Put it in 4-wheel. Try again. We're not getting anywhere. Finally, I get enough. Just balls out, get it up, get it spun around, and Jay's on the back of the tire, just bouncing up and down for me to get enough traction. We're getting right up to 2 feet from this guy's from the road, and that's it. So I had to back down all the way to the garage, where there's 20 feet flat spot, and get a running start from there. And I made it up. We get to the top of the hill, we take a look. I grab the 4-wheel drive shaft, and it's just Jeep Liberties from the transfer case to the front have a CV shaft. And I just grabbed the shaft and it's you could beat eggs inside of that CV joint. So we pull it all out. And yeah, all the fins inside the CV are gone. The shaft itself was all right, but that part went. So I went to Pick and Pull, or You Pick You Save, where Zach works. And I'm up there and I'm grabbing them. And turns out there's 2 different sizes. I showed up late Saturday to grab the first one, so I get it out and get out there just in time, and then go back Saturday morning or Sunday morning to grab the second one. And, cause, I broke one, I figured I'll break another at some point. Might as well have a backup with me. Junkyard prices are $20 a CV shaft, no big deal. I get the whole shaft in the CV joint, so. And then I'm talking to this guy and I'm telling him about it, and there's this larger Puerto Rican guy fucking cracking jokes right at the desk. We're having a good time chatting back and forth. And I'm telling him what I'm doing. He's like, "Oh, that sounds like the Gambler 500. And I'm like, "It is the Gambler 500. What the fuck you know about the Gambler 500? He's like, "Oh man, my buddy Zach over here." I'm like, Zach. So he's got the Crown Vic. I'm like, "I know Zach. Where's he at? Get him over here." So Zach came out, got a couple sponsor stickers for my Gambler ride, and That's the end of the story.
Okay.
That's it as far as that goes.
I tried to find gambler sponsors, but nobody wants to put their name on a gambler. Even
No, probably
though,
not.
even though we do a lot of like cleanup and shit.
It's going to take word getting out, because all I see is cheap vehicles right now. Once the word, like once people ask enough questions, like why do they do it, we all need to like express like when we're out we clean up. Like that's a big thing we all need to express, because that'll get us a lot farther than saying we're out beating on the trails and stuff like that. Everybody, and like that's the big thing, like all of New York state lands, except for a few counties up north, you can't drive a four-wheeler on, because they're all worried about environmental conservation and noise pollution. All the four-wheelers and the trails and stuff, all hikers and the bird watchers, and they're all concerned about the noise pollution. It's a big thing too. It's the state woods, it's everybody's woods, so we all need to share and respect each other. And pick them up as best we can do. I mean,
I've seen a lot of pictures from like Oregon where they just fill dumpsters.
well, luckily for us, there's not too many people in New York. Like there are. I do know some spots, and if we did make the Virgil section of frozen nuts, we probably would have hit some of them. I do know where spots where people illegally dump, and it's disgusting. I remember I was out with a girlfriend hiking one day, and we were trying to find these hidden waterfalls, and down near Onondaga County, and we would go down this gully, and we started walking up this creek, and you look over to the right, and there must have been 300 rubber tires from like 1930 on, like the old ply radial, like wagon style, you know, like a complete U shape, almost like a motorcycle tire. Old from there, like all the way to recent, just all of this rolled down this hillside, and was sitting right next to a creek.
Last time I went hiking for waterfalls, I hiked 1.5 miles up the river. And when I got to them, we went by like 2 old hippie camps that were decrepit and would have been a great cleanup spot if you don't mind hiking up the river and then back down.
If you want to drag trash out for a mile.
Got up to the falls, and I was like, oh, these are cool. Climbed the rope up the side of it, kept going, and there's like a small little raised up spot at the bottom of the falls. It's just like beer bottles and all sorts of shit. And I was like, people just need to not do this.
It's ridiculous. It doesn't matter where you go up and around X either. Like any place where people stop, you're gonna.
Well, and that's the sad part. Like you can go in like a mile deep into the woods, nobody around anywhere, and within an acre you can find evidence of human existence. And it's like how many people have been on that 1 acre a mile deep into the woods? Not
When was
enough.
the last time somebody was there?
Right, not enough.
So what's our next topic? You got the sheet.
Well, build updates, we went over that pretty good. Favorite gambler car that you've ever seen?
My favorite one? There was the Accord at the first spring one. They made into a who was that? The team name? I don't know.
Social Justice Patrol?
Social Justice Patrol, yeah.
The cut-up Accord.
Cut of Accord. I freaking love that thing. It had a huge ass snorkel on it. It was pretty much a tie between that and the Sentra that year. Travis' Sentra. That thing was pretty sweet.
The one that started to break in half.
Yeah, it was held together with self-tappers and ratchet straps. But yeah, that thing was pretty sweet. I didn't really look at that Accord much, but it was cool. It had a big ass snorkel on it and a freaking light bar on the top. And these guys were out there in early April and bundled up at like 7 in the morning driving down this convertible. The thing was pretty sweet.
I heard they're going European police this
Really?
this year for a theme.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Get a nice little all-wheel drive Volvo wagon or something.
Police stripes, the
Yeah.
blue and yellow, with the big bubble on top.
The annoying siren.
Yeah. What police cars are supposed to look like. Easily identifiable.
Yeah. There's a few here in town. I
I
don't know.
know
Like they have police ghosted into the paint. And
Well,
it's
it's
like,
just,
oh, you sneaky bastards.
City of Cortland has a white vehicle with white reflective police on it. Like
At least you get a reflective though.
it's not undercover. It's supposed to be a patrol car. I mean, come on, you're supposed to be obvious. And they got the low profile lights tucked up in the visor and everything like that.
Always look at the rims.
Serve and protect. That's all I have to say.
Can't anymore. There was they were doing a sting over in town and they were using our parking lot for staging. They had a newer body style Charger, had the aluminum wheels and everything, normal plates, normal registration, and I was like, there's no way that's a cop. And then you see them all putting their badges on and tucking them in their hoodies, and I was like, that's borderline a trap.
Well, for stuff like that, they use impound vehicles. Because one of my accounts, it's like, you can think your buddy's back in town, and next thing you know, there's a whole bunch of cops coming out of his car busting you.
So which is your favorite gambler?
I have no idea. I mainly see gamblers, like, because I follow a lot of the other gambler groups.
Yeah.
I'd say pretty much any of the limos.
Yeah.
We didn't specify.
We haven't done a limo
here.
yet, have we?
It would be so easy, too, especially if we were to get, like...
Somebody, wasn't it you about to get married?
Nope.
Somebody was about to get married in the fall, and I was trying to push for that limo real hard, so his wife wasn't having none of it.
Someone just needs to buy, like, a Lincoln and throw some, like, tons on it off a old F-250. It probably wouldn't be that hard. You know, if you can get like a donor vehicle.
The only thing
the Crown Vic front ends are over-engineered. You can lift them, you can lower them. They're really like a universal front clip.
Just get one old enough that you can just.
It's the same front clip they use in the F-150. It's the same in the Crown Vic. So I mean, you can really put a truck suspension on it. Just go.
That'd work.
Especially if you get one of the like mildly stretched ones, not one of the insanely long ones. Something that can actually like, when you realize you went the wrong way, turn around.
Yeah. I did figure it out though.
You want a 10-door or a 10-window limo?
That would be terrible. That the big Lincoln car I was talking about from out west that I always said was a Chevelle. It's a Nova.
Okay.
It just got put on display in a museum.
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay. I'd love to do something like that. Because everyone will be like, oh, you want a Nova? Are you going to restore it? Not quite. A resto mod, baby, but...
You're right. I my second car was a Nova. An 89 Nova. If you guys aren't familiar, it's an economy hatchback. It's from the 80s, super squared up, disgusting. I never drove it. I bought it and resold it. For $800, you couldn't go wrong. I made $400 on it in a week. So when I was 16, that was a great thing.
Yeah. So which would be your favorite gambler that you've seen?
My favorite, I see. It's hard. It's a hard toss-up. My favorite gambler, because I'm personally involved with the second version of it, is Dixie Cup. This man created the idea. But Dixie Cup 2.0 with Chuck there at the wheel. The dude with the Subaru, I forget his name, came whipping into our campsite. We're all sitting there by the bonfire. We're all hanging out. Nick was with us. We're just getting our drink on. Was it Friday night or Saturday night when we did the tug of war? I think it was Friday night. Yeah, you had your baby. You couldn't make it. I think it was Friday night. I forget. Well, anyhow, the Subaru comes whipping in, talking mad shit to Dixie Cup. And Chuck goes, I'll hook up with you. You want to hook up? And he goes, yeah. And all of a sudden, this idea was born. It wasn't planned. It wasn't born. Now, we hook up to the road. It was closest to us. And they had just laid, like, fresh gravel and sand on this road. So the Subaru hooks up to Dixie Cup. And I got a great video of this. Maybe I'll post it as a link to your video later on. But Dixie Cup and Subaru are, like, tugging. Nobody's doing anything. Dixie Cup digs in. Subaru digs in. Nobody's going anywhere. All of a sudden, pink! Ripped a chunk of the Subaru off like this with the hook on it, but like subframe, like that much of it just came chunking out. I'm like, oh my god, you lost! Dixie Cup whoops ass! So he's not having it. Hook up again. That's not fair. My car fell apart. You didn't win. So they hook up again, and the same thing happens on the other side, but a larger chunk comes off the second time. And I'm like, Dixie Cup's a motherfucker! I'm just going nuts, and it was a good time. All of a sudden, this big old Chevy with like a steak rack on the back and all homemade. He comes up and he goes, "Who wants to play tug of war?" There's me and Liberty, Jay and his Honda Civic, and the Dixie Cup sitting there. And like, who wants to hook up? And I'm like, "Yeah, you want to try to pull the Dixie Cup and the Liberty?" He goes, "Yeah, both of you hook up. We'll do it." He threw the Civic on too, but Jay had already drove away at the Civic and he was already parking it, so we hook up, and that Chevy did not get an inch on us. Dixie Cup wound up just 5 minutes into it, quit overheating and all sorts of things. So Chuck shut it off, and I'm just sitting there and I buried it instantly, like 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel low, whew, like all four tires, or not all four tires, but the two drive tires just whew, right down. And like I could let off the gas and not hit the brake, and the Chevy couldn't pull us. Like I was in the ground.
Nails in the ground.
So at one point in time, so he as soon as he let off, like I'd get on it, and I'd get like 2-3 inches, and he'd pull me right back to the same spot. We'd do it back and forth, and Tyler comes out, and you guys have got to see the video. My sirens are going. I got flashing lights. I'm on the mic talking. My rev limiter says 1-9-9-9-9-9-9. Loud. I have no exhaust. It's downpipes and then a hole. And I didn't do anything after. Actually, in the frozen nuts, we lost the entire exhaust. Tyler comes up, and I am pissed drunk. I'm sitting there with one foot on the ground, one foot on the throttle, smoking a cigarette, not even holding on to the wheel. Tyler's like, cut it off! What? Stop! What? Cut it out! Oh, okay. Needless to say, it turned to be 2 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't know it.
Nice.
And it's the one and only time that we've been there, and there's other guys there. So, I guess we pissed off some of the mud guys. I didn't hear anything about
Was
it.
it AIS?
Yeah.
My favorite
The next morning, I went and kicked a bunch of the dirt back in and called it good. Really hungover. Really early driver's meeting. Wasn't ready. Slept in a hammock. Fell asleep drunk. I didn't have a hat on. It was like 40 degrees that night, so I woke up, my head was just frozen. It was a good time.
I remember my first driver's meeting, going to and having Tyler have to say, guys, we need to not ride around on shopping carts on roofs anymore. And just being so confused about what happened until later that day, and actually found out that like there was a car with a shopping cart and he was giving rides to all the
we
people
were
back to the
doing parade.
campsite.
I love doing parade laps.
We had people on top of Gary Bussey doing laps, like around the base camp.
I had my the first spring. I brought my red Toyota
Yeah.
because I lost the keys into the Liberty, and I brought it as a recovery vehicle and just needed something to run. And I filled the back with like 5-6 people, and we're just driving around with the fucking flags just flapping. And I'm on the mic, fucking just hey everybody. Yeah, it's a good crowd. It's a good
Definitely
crowd.
is. Everybody kind of goes along with the shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. What I love particularly are the late night frickin' red line contest.
Oh yeah,
Across
everybody
camera.
just all of a sudden just bouncing cars off the rev limiter.
You're like 300-400 feet away. You just hear one nun 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 nun. Da 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 da.
I remember hearing that across AIS. It's like, well, we'll see who's left in the morning, and then we'll decide how we're gonna fix it.
Nobody blew up a motor yet. I mean, good thing for computer-controlled governors.
That'd be my only hesitation of going carbureted. There's no rev limiter. They're just floating valves at that point. Definitely was a pretty good time. My only complaint about the spring was the 6:45 6 drivers meeting.
Yeah, that was aggressive.
That was aggressive.
That's why I didn't drink that much that night, because I was like, I gotta be up. I don't want to be hungover for this.
Well, the first day of that was just so brutal too, because that was a long. Like
Tyler, no offense, I know it was your first one. We did a grand tour of New York State that first day. We did a full loop. I did so much road driving that day, I couldn't believe it.
We didn't finish it. It was
I
like
couldn't
5:30, and we're like, we plug in camp on a GPS, and we're like, it's 2.5 hours.
We quit at like 8 o'clock at night. We're only like checkpoint 30 of like 55.
Well, it's not my fault. You're stupid. Like,
We did go
until 5.
We did go the wrong way at first. Well, it was my first Gambler, so I was all about hitting checkpoints and bing, 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 like hit every checkpoint, make it back to the base camp. I don't care how long it takes. Well, my team gave up on me. There was a mutiny. The captain got fired that day. We are going back to camp. So on the way back, we did manage to go past one death track. My buddy Johnny Mack was actually like 2 miles from his place is like 2 miles from one of the death tracks. So we got to go back and enjoy it later on too. But yeah, that first track, that first day, I didn't understand the Gambler, and then from there on out, I get it now. I ran with Kevin the second day, following Old Blue.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about what my favorite Gambler is, and we're way off topic now. All right, so Old Blue is one of them. I mean, I followed that thing for a day. I could not believe the hills that thing was just tearing up without even slipping a tire. Just and Kevin drives like a madman.
Going down that road when we had to cross that puddle. Remember at the meeting, they're like, "Oh, there's the one road that's blocked. Just skip it." and we get to it and we're like, hey, this is the road we gotta take. So we all go down this road, and there's like a deep, long pond. Kevin's the first one across, and then a couple guys in the Jeep, and there's us little guys, Nick in the Volvo, my Volvo, Jason's Park Ave, and you and it was the CRV guys.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar.
Eat that chicken. And they, oh my god. We were like contemplating, should we turn around or should we cross it? And by the time some of us had made a decision, they were already coming back because it's like, no, there's a fence, we gotta turn around. So everybody had to turn around in these two little trails in the woods. That was a good day.
The video from everybody trying to turn around.
Yeah, everybody tugged everybody out that day. That was fun.
I was in the Yoda that day, but the Jeep did pull you guys. The Jeep did work that day. Dan McConnell's ZJ, the Grand Cherokee with the locked rear diff. We didn't know it was locked till we started driving it, and it was also the rear diff was also spewing oil. So what we did that day is took a tub of industrial grease and just made like a pastry bladder and just shoved like a half a quart of grease down in there and poured used motor oil in there. I had gearbox oil, but if we didn't need to use it, I mean,
You're just thinning out the grease, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we were hoping is the grease would make an outer coat and like just basically block off a small leak. It seemed to work okay. He got it home, so wound up selling it. I think the guy's still driving it as a mud truck, to be honest with you.
Oscar's CRV was pretty awesome.
Is that the one with the turbo at the
Yup.
top?
Yeah, that thing was badass.
It's the same setup I had my old Integra. 2-liter little turbo, no exhaust. It sounded really good.
But then you can't neglect the Mud Cricket either. Mud Cricket at Frozen Nuts showed its true weight. It pulled that Suburban up out of that hole. The Liberty couldn't fucking budge.
Yeah.
I got the Suburban out of the first hole. Or Jay got the Liberty out of the Suburban out of the first hole with the Liberty, and then like as we were when we first hooked up, we broke through the ice. Like as we were trying to spin out, we broke through the ice, got ourselves out of that hole, rehooked up, pulled him out, and as he was backing out, he really didn't he didn't party pedal. He didn't hit that skinny pedal, and he got stuck in our hole. And we couldn't move him. And Explorer hooked up, the guys from PA and the Explorer, they hooked up, we couldn't move him. And then I got moved out of the way, I parked the Jeep, I walked down to the CRV, was watching them pull it out with the seat belts, could not believe that. Had no idea you could lift a vehicle by its seat belts. Good to know. I went down there and all of a sudden I hear the fucking Mud Cricket just wah-da-da-da-da, and you just see the taillights going back and forth, and all of a sudden that Suburban go-doof. Like, oh my god, the Mud Cricket did it! That little fucking Korean fucking...
He also pulled the
bed
power
rolled,
stroke
totaled
up half
and
an hour.
rolled Santa Fe. Oh man, I had a Santa Fe. It was only 2-wheel drive and it was a 4-cylinder. It was the most boring vehicle I have ever owned. It didn't stop well, it didn't go well, it didn't turn well, it didn't do shit well. It was just boring. And then to see what he did with that Mud Cricket is pretty cool. But I do have to say my personal favorite is Dixie Cup because it's still alive. It's not dead yet. I think somebody's got a claim on it in the spring too. I think someone's taking it out again. So
It's the people's car now.
oh yeah. So that's the great thing about Dixie Cup. Even though the owner gave up on it, everybody else hasn't. So
I remember Adirondack, I was talking to him about buying it just because I was having some bad brake problems up there. Jeez, man. It's like every one I've gone to, I've had brake problem.
Frozen Nuts was more of a rack problem.
Yeah, that... I don't know what happened there.
We're all standing there. I hear smash. I look over. There's snow coming off your car. The brakes are locked up, and you're just cruising down Kevin's driveway. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I pinched a line, like a hydraulic line or something, and it had no fluid or leaked the fluid out somehow. But I instantly thought I bent the tie rod because I was tugging it and it wasn't going anywhere. Yeah, I gave Alex with the Ford, with the big ass Ford he had.
F-250.
Yeah. Him and I were driving down the hill, and he goes, "Oh, we get to the first sharp corner, come down." He's like, I slid, and I'm like, "Oh, wow!" We come to a stop, and he's like, "Oh, you get a little pucker factor going," and I was like, "Oh yeah, not really yet." And then as soon as we come around the corner, bam! That thing's still got.
how long were you guys on Hammond Hill before we showed up? Because the Jeep was the first thing to come down there after you guys got
we were,
You were there for like 2 hours, right? Before we showed up?
I don't remember how long, but we were there all day. It was 7 hours that we were up there on Hammond Hill. so Jason and I were driving up the road, and we're like, this has got to be it. You know, it starts getting rougher and snowier, and then we come to a spot where the plows stop, and there's a snowbank, and we're like, well, let's just go. This is it. You know, the map says it goes through. It gets rough and then it goes through. So we make it, and made it probably 5 minutes down the road after that, and then it just got thicker and thicker and thicker, and we came along and started breaking through the ice, and that thing was so light it like skated on top of the ice,
Right. Yep.
and we just got to a point where there was like, we thought they were rocks coming up, but they were like ice chunks sticking out
previously.
Yeah, and it froze over again, and it was just not strong enough to hold the car, and it just sunk down. So we got stuck, just the two of us. So we were teamed up with Empty Pockets and the Suburban.
Yeah, the Suburban came to get you guys out, but they got stuck in the process, right?
Yeah.
So you guys got yourself unstuck the first time.
Yeah, it took us about 30, 40 minutes. We got unstuck, turned around, and we were like on cloud nine. We were like high-fiving, yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. So we're like,
Then you hook up the Suburban.
literally 15 feet we drove, and it's like, no, turn around, and they're just like, "Brr." We're like, talk for a couple minutes, and we're like, all right, let's turn around. So they crank the wheel, and they just back around, and at the edge of the trail, the one tire just broke through, and a hole the size of the tire, and that was the end of the day.
Yeah.
That was incredible, though. That Suzuki Samurai came up and just started yanking people
yeah.
out.
Well, we all stopped at the top of the hill there. Kevin was with us in his little Dodge Neon there, fucking. All right, so following Kevin or Jake Leach, you really need to have a ball sack. This fucking bitch. Those boys fucking cook, and I'm always following those sons of bitches. I've wheeled with Jake before, and we have a good time, but man, he is nuts in that fucking Jeep.
He doesn't let off at all. Oh my god.
Like I know I got big flotational tires on the Liberty, way bigger than they should be, but man, like he was just killing it through trails, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Somebody, who in Frozen Nuts brought their Subaru Daily?
Oh, that was
the Forester XT that was up there.
Yeah, he had his kid with him.
Yeah,
Oh my god, I almost killed those fucking two. We're coming down a hill to a stop sign. I hit the fucking brakes. I got no brake pedal. All of a sudden, I fucking pump them up. I got brake pedal. I'm on ice. I'm just sliding, skating. I go around like two people. Fucking Jake takes a turn. The Subaru goes to take a turn. I'm like, If he would have turned, I would have fucking drilled him into the ditch. Thank God. Because the only car with a kid in it, you know what I mean? The only car with a kid in it is the car I almost smacked. And the Daily Driver.
probably
you
the
know
safest car there, though, to be honest.
Yeah, but I could slam into anybody's Gambler and be like, how are we going to make it work? You know what I mean? But someone's Daily Driver, you're like,
I thought we learned in spring that you don't drive your Subaru Daily on the Gambler.
well,
Hashtag they lived. That was great.
well, that's the best tree smack ever.
It was a solid hit too.
It hit hard.
Because we're just
Back
sitting
end picked
there.
up and went sideways.
We hear the smash. We look and the tree is just doing this, and I was like,
We went.
someone's hurting.
The fall run went by there, but it wasn't one of the checkpoints. We went. It was. Who was with us? I think Nick was with us, and Ryan Delphi with the backup Subaru. Remember, you guys remember that? He built like a cage in the trunk of his car for a winch. Oh, fucking, what a fantastic idea. That guy's, I'm a crazy motherfucker. He is insane. I love that guy. So he was riding with me, and where was I going with that story? Next subject.
But yeah, cruising with Jake's fucking crazy.
Yes.
Okay, Jake's. There was a point in the first Adirondack. I was following him for the second half of the day. We're doing like 65 through the woods on these stone roads, and he's driving with his phone out the window recording me. And I'm like, dude, you're freaking nuts.
He's like, I got Google Maps up. I can see the turns in the road. Like, dude, you're fucking cooking.
It's like there was one point at Frozen Nuts. Instead of being in 4 low on the trails, I put it in 4 high, so I just started cranking along. I was like, this is getting pretty rough. Get up the hill. One of the hills, I don't remember what checkpoint it was. But I look back and the nearest car was probably still 100 yards behind me, and that was Tyler in the Silver Sleeper. And that was the same trail we found those Jeeps on.
Yes.
Those guys were so pissed.
Yeah, because they're out there thinking they're badass and they're $30,000, $40,000 JKs or
$40,000 without the lift.
Were the 4 doors one UJs? Were the 4 doors called?
Those
I
things
have
are
no idea.
Yeah, they got a Jeep code. I don't know.
Some sort of J.
I think in a coming year we need to get everyone to get like Rangers or S10s and do like a little trophy truck league.
I got it.
Word.
Or if you don't have access to a truck, get a sedan and make a
Yeah.
truck.
Make a trophy truck.
Just make it like the whole thing.
That
You have
was
to like sticker them up. and
that
all
was the plan for Nick's car, but looking at the underside of it now, if we cut the roof off, it's just gonna fall apart.
That's the only
Like a good old JK. If there's
What?
any rust underneath, the whole car is ruined. Leave the roof. Leave the roof.
Like,
But you could do it. You just have to re-brace it. Like you have to do like
No,
a mock roll
there's
cage.
no
There's
re-bracing.
nothing even
No.
like no.
the frame, when he popped out apart and hit the tree at Kevin's, it buckled the hump over the axle and split like the pinch from the body for probably half the length of the car. Made a good beer cup holder though.
I did hear that story.
I was like,
And his gravity tester.
yeah. I was like, I don't want to get caught with a beer. Nick, I'm putting this in your car. Okay. I was like, what's the next upcoming Gambler?
Spring. What's it? March.
It's
No, I
May
meant-
17th, 18th, and 19th, I believe.
No, like the next one countrywide.
Oh, countrywide gambling.
Because I know Tennessee was last weekend. That looked like a good time.
I did want to do the PA to Louisiana Lemons Rally. I missed out on it. I should have done that.
Have you guys seen the stuff about the Chop Top?
No,
You haven't seen Chop Top?
it was chopped out.
It starts in, it's like a road rally. I think this year it starts in Chicago and goes to Atlanta. And basically, you just show up there with a Sawzall and you cut the roof off of whatever. Like the entire, including
Whatever
the
you bring.
windshield. Yeah. And then everyone's just driving around in motorcycle helmets
Nice.
for like 1,000 miles. And it's called the Chop Top Rally.
That's awesome. No, I've never heard of that.
It's essentially what we do, but with like a common.
Minus a roof.
Minus
Yeah.
the roof, right?
So
How many of our
it's-
vehicles would not make it with the roof?
Actually, Texas is going on right now.
Texas this weekend?
Yep. Must be nice and warm down there. Fuck you
Oh.
guys.
I don't know. Frozen Nuts was alright. The short bus was great. Threw a little buddy heater in there, kept it warm all night. Didn't freeze at all. It was awesome.
What kind is the short bus?
It's a Chevy 25.
Because I don't know if you saw, I think it was Sloppy Mechanics today, had someone with a sticker that said the spool bus.
Oh yeah,
So if you had like a.
a turbo diesel.
Yeah.
I do have a.
That's what Gary Bussey was.
I do have a 6.5 liter
Spool
or
bus?
6.7 liter. I don't know. Whatever the fuck it is. I'm not a diesel guy, so it's brand new to me.
Older Chevy.
Yeah,
6.5 probably.
yeah, 6.5, 6.
Or early 6.6.
Actually, it might have a turbo diesel on it now that I think about it.
On your bus?
Yeah,
I thought you were saying it was turbo.
I do believe it is.
The spool bus right there.
Yeah.
Plan B.
Yeah, I'll have to put a bigger spool on it, huh?
Go to the
What is it?
junkyard, find a Power Stroke old 7.3 with a whole set. Big old bastard.
Nice.
It's like I was watching a video.
Like an M60.
I was watching a video the other day on lunch. These guys took an old 70s Winnebago, put a turbo LS in it,
Oh yeah.
just a downpipe. I really want to do that now because it was just like this mean sounding beast, and then you just see a Winnebago cruising by.
So what events can we crash? Like
Um,
car events with our gamblers?
Wegmans. I posted it on the Gambler page not that long ago. It's Wegmans like car show or something like that.
Every Thursday in Canandaigua at that Wegmans they do one. There's the Log Cabin in Macedon on Wednesdays. We crashed that last year right after the Gambler. Street Scene this summer in Liverpool.
It's the Wegmans in Liverpool. I think it's April 23rd. I really think we should crash it because we bring a lot of attention to the guys that have a lot of common interests with us. Because there are rat rods and all sorts of stuff there. I mean, there's like mid '90s trucks that are done up that these guys are just proud of what they got, so they bring it. And if you ever built a car, you can appreciate anybody's build.
I know.
Everything takes time and work.
In June at some point, Geneva has their block party where basically they shut down one of the big intersections in town, and it's like half of the block they just line up with cars. We usually bring a derby car. Like the last 2 years we've been across from I want to say Mosler, like full on Italian rebuilt Corvette track car. And more people come and look at the carbureted Chevy Lumina sitting across the road from it because
It's ingenuity. It's
that and the one we brought this past year was pre-ran, so the ass end was like shrunk
Ran.
in the struts. Everyone's like, "Oh, this thing's about done, isn't it?"
Nope.
I think he's run it 2 more times since that.
No shit. Lumina, huh?
Chevy Luminas. Like,
They think they'd flatten right up.
no, they are.
Because they don't have a frame, right? They got the unibody.
Yeah, it's a unibody, but for some reason, GM over-engineered the frames in those things with the unibody.
Mm-hmm.
You can, if you can get it to keep the CV shafts in it and keep the steering, you'll usually top 3 a derby. Like, there's a guy that runs at the Hemlock Fair, runs in the V8 class, full body cars in a Chevy Lumina. Last year he won it, and I was just like, what the shit?
So when I entered the Liberty into a gambler, I really did not expect it to make it out of one. Now it's made 2 full ones now, and we're on to the 3rd. But like, how do you go into a derby event knowing that like the car's done, like the scrapyard's the next stop? Like you've never been like, this is a great, like I just built an awesome derby car and now I'm just gonna go fuck it. Like you never had like that heartbreak moment where like
kind of. The last one I built, I was all excited because I hadn't run one in a few years. It was a Buick Century, basically a Chevy Lumina but with aluminum spindles. Went through my heat, didn't really hold back a whole lot. It kept going in the limp mode, so I'd put it to the floor and it just blip, blip, blip across the track. But got through the heat, car was still straight. Went, helped my buddies out with their cars. Went back out for the feature. I think I got to like 4th. And this dude came full track. Like, I was like, yeah, I got a chance to do this. I look up as he hits me. He had a loaded bumper on the front, which, you know.
not supposed to happen, right?
No, they're allowing them, but it's basically just take apart a full-size bumper and stuff as much steel in it as you can and put it back together. Frame, subframe, into the transmission.
Ooh.
I
Drop
imagine
it.
you care at first, but after you take a couple of those hits, you're probably stuff
Fuck
just
it.
gets rewired.
Well, like,
Subframe dropped, both spindles broke off, so I'm just sitting there cranking the wheel. I was like, okay, I'm done. Reached up, broke my stick
Well,
off.
so like,
Just
when I
gonna
built
sit
the
there.
Liberty, I had 0 attachment to it. Now I'm starting to like grow
Yeah.
kind of fond of it because it hasn't really let me down yet.
See, that's the thing. I'm like the opposite. I started with my daily driver,
Yeah,
and now
right.
I'm just like, I don't want to do this. Like, get the angle grinder out and cut the fenders. Like, I don't want to do this.
I think we should do like a test and tune night at a drag strip, and just not tell any. Just all of a sudden, all these cars show
on
up,
an open night.
Holy
and
shit
we're all
boxes
like
show up.
bragging about getting kicked out for running under 10s or something like that.
Go out
You
there.
ran over 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Over 30 seconds at 62 miles an hour.
They're gonna make me put a
Make the
cage in it
buses
before you
drag
let you
us.
back in.
The buses. But what I did notice at Frozen Nuts is everybody loved the bus. We had a lot of guests on that bus, and
That was pretty sweet.
quite a
You got a
few,
bunk bed in it. I think
Yeah.
it's cool, man.
quite a few couple-hour visitors. It was a good time. And then like I noticed like immediately after on the Gambler page, people are like posting the bus, like, yo, we really need to get a bus.
Someone
And I
posted-
do recommend it. If you guys do want a cheap camper, buses are out there. And there's guys who like collect buses. They're like junkyard buses. Like there's junkyards for buses. So go find those guys because they will let a bus go.
I'll say someone shared a couple that were down in New Jersey that were full-size buses for like $1,200.
Did you see the one that was a full-size bus with like a camper stuffed on the back of it? Someone posted on the Gamer page. There's a marketplace
The old
post.
international one for like
Yes.
$700.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
if that had a title, I'd have been all over
Dude,
it.
we need to make a new
That
rule.
was so
Some people
awesome.
need to stop posting vehicles, especially tagging me in them, like vehicles that don't have titles.
Well, that's
You get me all excited, like,
it
oh.
seems like I share it
Oh.
and then I look at it and it's like, oh, there's a title.
There is a thread going on the Facebook page that I guess in Rhode Island or Vermont. Vermont, you can get an out-of-state title or out-of-state registration, and you don't need a title; you just need a signed receipt. And there's a lot of paperwork, but it can happen. Then when you get the title, you can register it in New York. So I know a lot of guys. I mean, titles are sometimes not available. like you buy a vehicle, and the person's like, "Yeah, as soon as I find the title, I'll give it to you." 6 months later, they have never looked for the title.
I remember seeing a couple of Vermont plate on one of the Lesbaru at the first camp. When I'm like, oh wow, you came from Vermont, all the way from Vermont, huh? He goes, oh what? Is that what I said? Oh sure, yeah, okay. Like, oh,
So yeah,
yeah,
so what you do is you get your substitute title from Vermont, registered in Vermont to begin with, because they let out-of-state residents register vehicles. Apparently, they want their money more in New York. And then once you get your title in the mail, then you can go to New York DMV and switch everything over.
Sounds like a lot of paperwork and a lot of reading, which is going to disqualify quite a few gamblers.
Well, I mean, you'd be surprised how far a gambler will go to make something happen.
That's like when I was planning on doing the Camaro on the K5. Ended up being
So you can't. I was watching that. You can't get a title for the chassis and motor on that VIN.
The Camaro. It ended up being my buddy's ex's car. He owed her money for it. He only paid part of it. She kept the title. He got the car. He stripped it. It allegedly went to the scrapyard.
Right.
So if anything comes up where I try to register it and they message or like they sent her an email or a letter or something
Notification,
like
right.
anything to let her know that car isn't scrapped, his ass is probably getting in some trouble. My ass might get chewed out. So I was just like, fuck it, stick it on the back burner for now.
What if you were to just cut out the firewall and just do it that way? Just
No VIN on the chassis.
all the way up to
No,
the...
because then I still have to try to find a title for it.
Well, can't you do the
Oh, you
title for the
can't.
K5 or whatever frame you're putting it on?
The only K5 I had a lead on so far didn't have a title either.
Okay, guys. Anybody that halfway informed the DMV in New York State, can you register? Is it registration for the chassis and the motor, or is it registration for the body? Because that is a good
I
question.
think you can go either way with it.
I think if you have a title... And
Like if I have a title for a Camaro and it's on a K5 chassis, yes, I'm technically driving a Camaro, or vice versa.
Right.
It's technically on a Blazer
It's
chassis.
technically a K5 with a different body.
Yeah.
Get
Well-
real plates, get real insurance, because by the time you get pulled over, they're going to have enough questions for you before
Trying to
trying to
narrow it
figure
down.
out if it's a K5 or a Camaro.
You also have the benefit of they have so many questions they don't know where to begin and just say, here's your ticket, get the fuck out of here.
Or just find someone with a dealer plate that'll let you borrow it for the weekend.
That's a possibility too,
It's
right?
like there was a dude, I remember seeing the car down in Watkins Glen for sale, and then I've seen it around here a couple times. It's like an 80s Monte Carlo on a truck frame.
Yeah, guys, I saw it. I see it on mine occasionally.
Dude, that thing is nuts. I would daily drive the hell out of it. I went by the Dunkin' up in Newark, and it was just sitting there one day, and I was like, ooh, that looks awesome. And then I saw a picture of him pulled over coming out of Watkins Glen on the hill, and I was like, yeah, that's probably a lot of questions.
So what I've been dying to do, gambler-wise, we're talking about this, is a Jeep Wrangler is within 1 inch in both width and length, wheelbase-wise, for fitting on a VW Cabriolet convertible. So
Really?
I have been dying, like, was it you that posted the like, I have a Cabby already, and I love it, but I've been dying to put one on, like, a Jeep frame.
That's interesting.
That's like Marshall told me a 70s MG, or no, a 70s Triumph will fit on a Suzuki Samurai chassis with little to no modification.
That'd be fantastic. That'd be the best thing ever.
Because Marshall said he has a 76 that he wants to put on a Suzuki Samurai chassis, and my coworker has the chassis. So that might happen. I feel like that would be
Seems like a lot of work.
Be cold.
But
it'd be awesome to see.
hard work
Yes.
is well worth the reward sometimes.
That's like there was pictures from, I want to say, Arkansas, the gambler out there. Dude had like a first gen S10 that he merged with like an early 90s Civic hatchback. Because I saw the body and I was like, oh, that's a Civic. Why does it have an S10 grill? Why does it have an S10 box? What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, we need more vehicles that are not roadworthy, because that's every gambler, but just shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Like the Astro with the Cadillac.
Like a
front end.
Cousins type, should be illegal type situation.
You mean like the
What the cousin
Pontiac
fucking
Aztek?
skull dipping.
Aztec.
Well, I think for incest, you'd probably need like the same brand,
Well, what was
just two
the-
different models.
what was the-
like merged
What was
together?
it, the Warhog? What it was like
The War Pig.
The War
The
Pig.
HHR
The
wagon.
HHR, that's the kind of shit we need. That thing was so ridiculous that like I can't believe
They
it
took
made
that
it
thing
anywhere.
down every single fucking
They
death
made it
track.
through the
Murder.
Death Trek Day 2.
Well, see what they did is they went with the party pedal theory and they just bounced off everything and said fuck it, and that'll get you far. It'll get you really
That's
stuck
why
too.
I'm
but-
trailering up this year, so I can try the party pedal.
Well, I saw on a few of the previous Gambleless episodes that people are talking about these tow bars. And I cannot disagree enough with tow bars, people. If you can find yourself or manufacture yourself a tow bar on the front of your vehicle,
Like a flat toe hitch?
like a flat tow hitch, put that fucker on there.
Just train up and
Just train off. We could have fucking 18-wheel drive. Someone's like, you get anywhere, you get really stuck. You don't really get really stuck, because when the whole train gets stuck, you start unhooking some and let them go, and reevaluate the situation from there. But yeah, because we've flat-toed vehicles, we've ripped bumpers off. The Liberty and the CRV destroyed the coupe cab. Fucking Matt Leach's fucking Saab there. That was a great day. That's one of my favorite stocks, to be honest with you, was that Saab, because he was sitting there, listening to that turbo hitting the rev limiter for like 30 to 40 seconds at a time, with the rev limiter hitting at the same time. Oh, what a beautiful noise!
I just recently watched that video. That was impressive.
How many people do you think we can get that get flat mount hitches? If we get enough, we can do some hot laps like a centipede.
Like a centipede. Ooh.
If we get enough, we can loop it back around.
Yeah. Just like
we don't have enough
picturing
cars.
20 cars, like all power and just trying to stay together.
Someone go on the Gambler page and post a link to your
I'll be the
universal
front
flat
vehicle
bar.
because I can't put one on the front of my truck.
If you do that though, you
can.
You need to.
You
know how
get a little
horsepower it has,
ingenuitive,
so
but you got
have,
the
total
tube
train
frame. I
horsepower.
mean, you can hook anything you want to it.
If you get like 5,000 horsepower running
Do your
around,
horsepower
just
and
a train
how
of
many wheels drive your car.
Yeah.
We'll put the two. What we'll do, we'll get 10 cars per row with the bars, and then we'll have a bus at the end of each one, and it'll be like chariot races. The bus isn't allowed to be powered.
You got to pull the bus.
Yes,
One
that
guy
would be
sit on the bus.
great.
No walkie-talkies allowed.
I'll put a flat bar in my
No one
bus.
can communicate.
Dude,
And you unplug the brake lights.
that would be chaos, but so good at the same time.
Even if you do only like 2 or 3 vehicles per bus. I mean, seriously, you could pull a bus with a Century. You know.
Just think about like serpentining now. That
Oh,
would
yeah.
be the best. It's
Well,
just all the
soon,
cars.
as soon as it
all
got out of
connected.
control, it would just get worse and worse and worse. Uh-oh. Yeah, rude interrupted. Yeah.
Be like human centipede.
You're disgusting.
Auto gambler opinion.
I can't repeat it.
I feel like that'd go pretty good.
And like AIS has so much to offer us when we stay up there. It's really a great thing. I mean, they got the sand pits, they got the trails, they got the track, they got drag strips, they got mud box.
That and the fact that they like us, that helps a lot.
They love
It's
us.
just the icing on the cake.
I really have to say, like the minute we showed, like that first game when we showed up there, like that dude like employed us as an employee. He was like, do this. We're like, okay.
Might as well.
Getting everybody ready, and it was a good time. I actually met the owner. We had a nice chat. I drove over to his actual shop, grabbed some rims for burn pits and stuff. We chatted the whole way. He's a real good dude, old dude. He's invested all his money into that track. He's really brought it back from almost dead to, I mean, you see the Stuck in the Muck over for a year or something now. I mean, they're
They
killing
got an
that.
event every weekend.
And that's brand new. Spring last year. I mean, Stuck in the Muck. Like they didn't have those trails prior to that, so that's all brand new.
I say they also host demo derbies up there because I remember one of the might have been day 2 when we were at the gas station. There was that guy fueling up his big car because you said you wanted the tires off of it.
Yeah, it was nice and cut. Then you got Tyler Woodstruck, multi-tool takeoff every other winter lug on a winter tire. Dude, as soon as he told me about that, I'm so adopting that feature. Turn winter tires into mud tires by just taking a multi-tool and cutting off the outside lug, every other lug. And you got something to bite and grip and eat.
I've seen people do it with boggers.
Not road legal, do not recommend it.
Oh well.
I'm not responsible for your idiotic mistakes.
You can blame him for the idea, but not for actually doing it.
It's Tyler's idea. Passing the buck. Tyler, go to the bus.
Which bus? There's enough of them around now. Tool Talk. We're going to have you tell us about...
Yes, Tyler has the topic for Tool Talk today. Even though he cannot represent Snap-on with Tool Talk.
Strap on.
The induction tool. Now, for you that do not know what an induction tool is, it is a wire that essentially heats a bolt to, what, about 900 degrees?
About 1,000.
Yeah, about 1,000 degrees.
Which
And
at this point, if we're talking about it, I might as well just go get it.
yeah, go grab it. Yeah. So it's got like a wire coil on it. You put it around a nut or a bolt or anything that's super stuck, rusted the crap, and you heat it up to about 1,000 degrees, and it turns out like butter, like it's brand new. You're on the verge of melting.
glowing red hot. Oh, I've had
How many bolts have you broken?
too many.
Way
too many.
I just did a lift kit on my 2002 Toyota Tacoma, and when we take the lower ball joint off, it's got 4 bolts in the bottom. We broke 3 of the 4 bolts.
I just broke a lug
I had to get a
nut.
new spindle. I had to go get a new spindle because we couldn't get the
I
fuckers
broke a
out.
lug nut 2 weeks ago, changing the brake pads on my Corolla.
I broke half a lug nut. I broke the end off of a lug nut. I had to drill it out.
A little windy out. I thought you brought a 6-pack. You haven't even touched it.
I gotta drive.
Give the man 8 beer.
You can have 8 beer. I go to wing night, I have like 4 and still drink.
You're so else. Tell me how many teeth you think that has.
Oh, I did.
Oh wow. That's a long way to a click. It's like a quarter turn to a click.
No, go ahead. No turn to a click.
No, there isn't.
Wait, what?
Well, explain your mini ratchet here.
Wait, is that the one you were telling me about?
Yeah.
It's got no gears
That's
in
the
it.
one, too. What is it?
Like it grabs instantly is what you're saying.
So it's got a
There's no
cam
play.
in it.
Okay.
So what it does is when you're turning, it goes like this, but when it locks, it expands
Okay.
immediately.
Okay. So yeah, all right. I got you. Immediately too, because there is no play, guys.
Yeah, no, that's
The difference between a good wrench and a Harbor Freight wrench is how much play between each click.
And I bet because of that little stamp, probably can't see it. $100.
No, it's brand new, so it'll be what 65, 70 for that.
No, it's
That
snap
alone.
that's very cool.
Probably like 135
Oh my
for a
goodness.
quarter inch.
Now, and this is why the gamblers do not buy Snap-on, Mac, or any other sort of expensive tool.
Mac and Cornwall have about the best prices.
Yeah, Harbor Freight's got the best prices.
Probably less than that.
Well, as far as the trucks go.
I've broken quite a bit, but
But in the same breath, I bought my winch off the Matco truck. I don't know why he stocks Champion winches, but he does.
You played yourself.
I was able to make payments. That's the only
Worst.
reason I spend money on the tool trucks.
So this bad boy, you got coils that go in the end of it. This will cherry a half-inch bolt in about 30 seconds.
Damn. Man, they're nice because there's no
I
flame.
use that one yet.
It's for bearings.
Plug that in. Show everybody. You got something we can.
I don't know how.
It doesn't take
Oh.
much.
Oh, I was gonna say the electrical in the barn. Is
All right,
not
well,
exactly
we're not gonna
good.
plug it in because it's tubing knob in this place, so
Hold on.
let's not burn the place down.
But
Maybe I'll
that's
plug
the
the
idea.
heater and we can try it. I just gotta find a bolt that I don't care about.
Yeah.
Actually, I got plates.
No, what's this wrapped in?
Just some kind of heat shield. So
I'll grab some pliers so I don't burn my hand.
I've seen a different style where it's just like a small unit with like a one wire coming out, and you basically loop it around. And
yeah, they got a few different
I don't know if that's
models.
gonna fit down there.
But for rusty bolts, there's nothing better than induction heat. You can PV blast, you can do any penetrating oil
Oh, you
you
did
want.
that?
You can pour Coca-Cola on it, and it's still not going to do better than this induction heat. I'm jealous. I want one of these things. Seriously.
If it trips that, I do believe that's something.
It shouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, we're good. Ready?
Sure. Move the chair out of the way.
What this does is just break every bit of rust free. It gets the bolt so hot that it doesn't matter if it's rusted in. As you guys can see, it's smoking already. About 15 seconds in.
I think this was a transmission blow off one of Honda. So that's probably train fluid.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, we'll go for a little longer. Might as well just get ridiculous.
Don't mount the pliers. Oh.
This thing's got like a duty cycle similar to a welder, so it'll run for 2 minutes flat out before it needs 35, 40 seconds to.
Cool down time.
Yeah.
What, like you said, within 30, I can see the red from here. So. Yeah, that.
Damn.
That.
Let's hear it up.
No,
It's already lit.
that's nuts. Now, had the tool truck driver actually done the demonstration, I'd probably own one.
Oh yeah.
I gotta go put this in some water before I burn it
This is like the first thing I requested because I always wanted to play with one. So we got like one that does like tire rod ends and
Yep.
stuff like that. That one that you pull. This one's for wraparound bearings. Well, like a wraparound race.
The race.
Yeah.
Be able to heat it up.
So you can essentially melt a bushing out with these.
So actually, the cool thing about this is that it doesn't really like it gets it high enough, quick enough. That if you're doing suspension stuff, like you can heat up the bolt, and yeah, you should probably replace the rubber in there, but it's not like hitting it with a torch where you're burning out the
Right,
rubber.
or some straight
Yeah, you
melts
can
out.
use that around a gas tank because there's no open spark.
Yep.
Yes.
And if you don't have a metal ring on your finger,
Or
pretty
metal.
sure he said you can actually like touch it and it
Yeah.
will just be a little warm.
You can find out. Yeah, like if you touch the coil right now, it's warm-ish.
Want to demonstrate?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
That
that's
feels
awesome.
good, actually. Let me see that. Okay.
Just gonna put it in his garage. Go give it to him.
Yeah, guy across the street from me's got a garage. He uses that thing and heat it up, PB blast, heat it up, PB blast, and like seeps right in there.
Well, for people that aren't mechanics on cars but fixing like machinery and production plants, those are nice because there's a few plants around here that in order to use a torch, you have to get a welding permit.
Yep.
So that's like an hour out of your day just to heat something up.
Yeah.
Plus, that's a lot easier to carry around than
And like,
torches.
and like he said, there's no open spark.
Yeah.
It's controlled heat, so you can put it right next to a gas line and not do any damage.
I probably heat up gas fittings and not the issues. Hydraulic fittings, definitely.
Now, for the people at home, what's something like that going to run someone?
About $900.
Is there more affordable models available?
It's called a blowtorch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's called map gas.
I have seen smaller ones, like I was saying earlier. Like it looked like almost like a glue gun with like just a single like loop rod around it, and you basically just loop it over whatever you want.
See-
Obviously, it's not as universal as this kit.
Yeah, if you get it, you can get them cheaper if you buy just the unit and you don't get the coil kit.
Uh-huh.
But the coil kit's kind of
Essential.
helpful.
Does
yeah.
everything.
Like if you know that you're only gonna be doing like a small bolt.
Yeah, but yeah.
Again,
If you buy a tool like that, you want to be able to use it anytime, anywhere.
This is more of something where you find out like 3 or 4 really good